And so we're now, Andrew is bringing his child to football, and he said it's a bit tricky to connect from where they are on the football pitch. So he sends his regards.
Got it,
And,
no problem.
yes, I still hope that we will get a few more people. So what we've been discussing with Raluca and with Subhash, and particularly with Agnes, is some of us are in between games, and in the sense that we have more than one game, and we need to make a choice which one will we play. And I was wondering if you have any word of wisdom around this.
No, just choose. You don't have to make it complicated. You can choose something that's really empowering you, something that calls you. And if you want, that's from my experience, the bigger the game that you play, the bigger the results and the bigger the gap that you create for yourself. So if you have more ideas of possible games, well, it is possible to create multiple games, but only one will be your team game in the world inside of the program. That doesn't mean you cannot create other games. That's one possibility, like create multiple games and play multiple games, or create a bigger game that it would include 2 games, or just choose something. And what I can share with you is from my team experience. I try different things. Sometimes I created games that were correlated to my job and my passion for making a difference in the political life. And then different quarter, I created something that didn't have anything to do with what I've been doing previously in my life. I chose an area that I used to be passionate about as a child, and I gave up on it because I didn't have time. So I chose to play a game in that area. So and then I came back to what I'm really passionate about, which is the world of politics. So I'm sharing this to you in a way that you see there's no right or wrong. You should do this, or you just choose something that empowers you, and that it's like the idea of playing that game in the world will move you into action, that you wake up in the morning excited to go in life because of that game that you're playing, because of the future fulfilled that game accomplishes for you.
Thank you. So the question is, what does really empowers you?
Yeah, what is that idea, that area of life that would make you wake up in the morning excited, being in action? And it's like if somebody would ask you, what is my life? What is your life about? What is you can, like I got from Subhash, education for children and leaving that legacy is his life, his commitment in life. So yeah, that's my recommendation. If you want, you can create anything, and create something that really calls you. And you know, I'll say one more thing about this. Things happen in life. Breakdowns happen. Now, when you will be dealing with breakdowns, what will empower you in the end is the kind of game you are playing. If the game is so inspiring, you will be able to deal with breakdowns with velocity. You won't get stopped by breakdowns. You won't back off because something didn't go the way you wanted. When you actually create a game that comes from a big commitment and that lifts you up. Makes sense? Or at least that's for me. And like I said, it's in the end, it's a choice.
Absolutely. Thank you. And we had the case in the quarter that some games were not won because the criteria of satisfactions were not met. Do you have any
Yeah.
particular recommendation on that? And also, before you start replying, please, if you're not speaking, please mute yourself because there is some crackling noise in the background, and I'm not sure from which phone is coming. But please make sure that we have a clear sound and as clear as possible. Thank you, Julia. You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so about the conditions of satisfaction. So the first thing to say is you create your own conditions of satisfaction. So you get to say what is the measurable expression of your possibility and your outcome. And then that measurable expression, those measurable results are the ones that you are unfolding and you're standing in them being fulfilled. And it's very simple. At the end, you fulfill them, your game is fulfilled. You didn't fulfill them, your game is not fulfilled. Now, look in a way, how could you create your measurable results in a way that they are measurable, they are specific and in time, and at the same time, they are not constraining you. Now, let me give you an example. If I say, I think I was having a conversation with Raluca yesterday or 2 days ago about her games in the world. Can I share this, Raluca? Is it okay? Yeah.
She's nodding.
So we were looking inside of her commitment to make a difference in public life, in the awareness of public opinion about the historical monuments. She's creating as a measurable result a documentary about historical sites in Romania. Now, inside of that, we looked what is feasible in 3 months and what would be a measurable expression that is, so, okay, a documentary, yes, but what kind of documentary, and is it gonna be done, ready to go on Netflix? It's gonna be something that you put on Facebook. And in the end, we created, Raluca created something. By February, I'm having like the first draft, the unedited documentary.
Okay.
So in this way, she kind of allowed for possible, let's say, breakdowns or changes. If the documentary is fully done by then, great.
Mm-hmm.
But if she just has the unedited version, like the first draft, her game is still fulfilled. Or I may give you another example. Let's just say, like with Suharsh, you create a game regarding education and starting a program for children. Now, if you create that by the end of the quarter, let's say standing in February, you have 125 children in the program, that's a measure. Now, if you create it like I have at least 100, that's a different kind of measure, which allows you for a little room. Like 125 is very specific.
Yeah.
Or like if I say at least 100, it's still specific, it's still measurable, it's still a big game, and at the same time, it doesn't put that kind of boundary that 125 would put.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So, but and the flip side is, don't create something that's specific and measurable. you gotta find your own balance between not constraining yourself by the measure you put on it and creating a condition of satisfaction that's not specific enough, because otherwise you won't be able to measure it and you won't be able to manage it, and therefore you won't be able to fulfill it. So don't create vague things either. Any comments, questions?
So what you're saying basically is the more detail you put around this, the more powerful it becomes.
Yeah, and look what kind of detail empowers you to put in that measure.
Yeah, like the number of people you've made contact with, networking, or speaking to decision makers in different countries that could help. That could be a benchmark, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Because,
And again, these are just like things that I can share with you, and none of it is a fixed thing, like a rule. The only rule in the game is that for your game to be fulfilled, your measurable results have to be fulfilled.
yes, got it. So if you set a measure,
But don't put things which are conceptual, like my family and my love and affinity is present between my family and, I don't know, people in my workplace.
got it.
That's at best, let's say, that's at best an outcome, but not a result.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna look, okay, how would you actually measure that?
Yeah, you'd be looking at practical markers to get to that outcome.
Yeah.
So in
And
this,
remember, always the measures are creation as an expression of the possibility of the game and the outcome of the game being fulfilled in the world. So make sure whatever you are creating, you're always starting from a possibility created from nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and an outcome that is expressed as a having in the world. And different people formulate, as a matter of words and of language, formulate this in different ways. I can share with you how I personally formulate this
Mm-hmm.
as my own structure that keeps me like grounded and keeps me able to do the thinking as the program is designed. So I'm always creating a possibility of the game, which is a possibility in communication,
Mm-hmm.
like the possibility of, I don't know, leadership and contribution in communication. Just inventing an example. I always bring the in communication aspect inside of creating a possibility, because these are not possibilities that you and I create from the Landmark Forum or in the Introduction Leaders Program.
Yeah.
These are possibilities in communication. And the outcome, I always express it something like this. So let's say if the possibility, if my area is the world of politics, and the possibility is what the leadership and contribution in communication, then an outcome is something as a result of that possibility, as an outcome of that possibility. So I say, for example, we have a new culture of acknowledgement in political communication, or we have leaders speaking inside of the new possible paradigm for communication. or we have a new generation of leaders who contribute to communication, or we have people empowered to participate in politics. So if you see, there are multiple outcomes that you could create from a possibility, but all of them, I always express them as we have something. And then I'm looking, okay, so if that's the possibility, and we already have that as the outcome. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then what's a measurable expression of that? And again, the measurable expression of that, you can create multiple different measurable expressions of that. To continue my example that I'm making up right now, it can be like, I don't know, 5 political leaders completed the landmark forum and the communication access to power. That would be one. Another one could be, I don't know, we accomplished, we created a public campaign in which politicians take on not sending negative messages about themselves for a week. I don't know, you can make it up, everything is created, but you can see how you transition from the possibility outcome and then to the measurable expression of that.
Yeah.
And remember that the outcome is something that's already fulfilled. You're standing in it as it's already done, it already happened. So same with the results, same with the measurable results. Any comments, questions? What are you discovering?
For me, I'm finding that very early on, the minute I put my game to paper, things started happening. All of a sudden, I'm coming across people that are connected with my project in some shape or form. It's a very strange feeling because it's something that I hadn't even fathomed. You know, the minute I put it on paper, suddenly, you know, the different pieces are sort of coming. You know, it's not all complete, but I'm beginning to meet and talk to people that can actually help me.
Very good. Yeah, great. And that's part of you allowing yourself to be given by the game.
Yeah.
Rather than doing something inside of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody has any questions, any other comments about what we have been creating so far?
Yeah, it's Agnes.
Yes.
So is there one measurable outcome or like a measurable expression, or there can be a few of them?
So, okay. So you have a possibility, yes, and then you have what we call in our program the outcome, which is one outcome expressed as a having in the world, yes?
Yeah.
And then the measurable results, you can create however, whatever, how many you want.
Okay. And so what will distinguish whether the game is accomplished? Is it like the percentage of the measurable results, or
all of them?
All of them.
All of them, yeah. Because remember, you are creating them. Nobody makes you write all those measures there. So if you say, let me, like, if I come back to my example, if I wrote on my game that the measure, I have these measures, 5 leaders completed landmark forum, and for a week we had a campaign about not sending negative messages, and 3 TV stations advertised our campaign. Then my game fulfilled if all of these measures were fulfilled.
Okay, got it.
If, let's say, instead of 5 leaders, I just registered 3 in the landmark forum, then I didn't actually fulfill what I created.
Got it. Okay, got it.
Yeah, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Anyone else?
I would like to welcome to the call Ruby and Ghislaine that came in a bit later. So any comments from Ruby, Ghislaine? You're both muted, but please unmute yourself if you would like to say hello to Iulia.
Anyone, whoever wants, yes, please feel free to, or even to say, what are you discovering newly?
Raluca here. So what I discover is putting down all your measures and milestones, and actually you increase the possibilities of actions, and you can discover another game or a kind of, because yeah, you actually putting all your measures, for obtaining something, you need to have more and more actions, and actually you force yourself to increase your gain.
Yeah, and my recommendation to you is to engage before finalizing the game or before anything else. Allow yourself to get engaged into a process of speculation. Like, start speculating. What would be the possible measurable results? What would they require? And this is part also of from the conversation for opportunity, and you'll keep doing this while unfolding and managing the unfolding of the games. But even when you are creating the game, like you said, Raluca, I mean, start to write down all the ideas that you have, all the different pathways, different things, and then at the end you can pick 1, 2, 3 of them. But the more you engage into this process of speculation, the more, that's actually the core of the game. And don't do this by yourself. This is not an individual conversation, it's a team conversation. So start including the people in your team in this process of speculation around the game.
I have a question, Iulia, regarding the team.
Yes.
In the past, I imagined the team being the group of people who gets together and works together. And the reality of my game has been that I worked with different people at different times. They knew of each other's existence, but they were not necessarily working together, because we were manufacturing a fashion accessory, and therefore the designers did not, I mean, I worked with the designer, then I worked with the manufacturers, the person who made the prototype. Is this still a team, or there is a requirement of people to be physically or at least working together?
Now, what do you think? Given that you're asking the question, what do you think?
It's still the product of a group. So in that respect, I still think is a team. It depends on the definition of team. So for instance, if you can take a...
The definition of team is?
Sorry, can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, so what do you think the definition of team is in this context?
Okay, it's a group of people achieving a common result.
Ooh, okay, anything else? And by the way, this is great because this is the training of inside of the team one participants actually dealing with these questions and discovering for themselves what does it actually look to create a team and what do we actually mean by team.
Yeah, I'm thinking, for instance, if you create, say, a documentary, you will have the people who shoot the movie, the people who edit the movie, the people who put the music on, the people who do the editing. They're not necessarily working together. They're working in sequence. But eventually the product, the movie, the documentary is something that belongs to all of them.
Yeah.
So I would accept that as a team, but is obviously different from a team of people who are all running after the same goal.
So what do you think is the main difference between the two?
One is that there is more of a smaller group communication.
Okay.
And the other one is a communication that is sort of shared. I must admit that my own attempts to create a team of this kind were very, I was very challenged just finding time that everybody was okay with. And at the beginning of my second quarter, I had lots of promises. People, I felt they were really enrolled. Yes, great, count on me. Oh yeah, but I can only do after 9 o'clock. Oh yeah, I can only do before 9 o'clock. Oh yeah, I can only do Monday. No, I can only do Tuesday. So eventually we never really started.
Got it. Got it. So I'll give you my perspective.
Thank you, please.
And how I see it inside of the program. So you want to look from what you said first, that the team is a group of people working together to achieve a goal or to accomplish a game. And I'll say, no, it's not. It's not a group of individuals that you put together for something.
Mm-hmm.
Team is a conversation. And the team, in how I see it inside of the design of our program, a team is a team when everybody surrenders to the team and everybody surrenders their identity to the conversation called team. It's when you start thinking at the level of team. And this is for you, those on team one, to really start taking on discovering this quarter, regardless if you're quarter one or quarter two or quarter four, discover it newly. What does it actually mean to think at the level of team? How can someone think at the level of team? How does it for you abandoning the thinking of an individual and start thinking from the perspective of a team, from the level of team? Because whatever you did is great in the sense that you had like communication. It's like the beginning of something, but it's not really, if you look from what you just said, it's not really surrendering to a team and empowering the other team's member to belong to each other in the conversation as a team.
Correct. Yeah.
And they don't have to be physically in the same space. Like with us, yes, we see each other we hear us on calls or on Zoom, or they don't have to work with each other on a daily basis. However, you will be the clearing for them to start constituting themselves as a team and relating to what you call the group as a team that they are part of, as like one body that they are part of. So yes, they don't have to work together every day and be physically in the same space, and yet you have to have team conversations. Same as you have with the people who are now on the phone, and with your Game in the World team, and with like Team London has conversations as a team, yes?
Yes.
And then identities show up, but at the end of the day, to be able to create something at the level of team, you'll have to give up your identities. And then your identity will show up again, and then you'll give up to surrender to the team again. It's the same with your Game in the World team. The team, the TMLP, the program, and the calls that you have as a team, the accountabilities that you have, prepare you, train you to bring that into your own lives with that team from the Game in the World.
Thank you.
And whatever it's not that, whatever it's not a team will show up. So whatever you said about dealing with not their promises and making requests and not finding a time for a call, that's great, because that's what's in the way of actually being able to create a team. And like I said, team is a conversation, and team is about surrendering your identity to that conversation.
Thank you.
Now tell me, what are you discovering newly? And anyone else is free to jump in.
What I'm discovering newly, that I grasp a sense of team from my experience in TMLP, but certainly I haven't created this in my games.
Yeah.
And it's something that can change now. I will see what needs to be created so that there is a real sense of team and people working together, as opposed to a sequence of different individuals that are offering the services to the team.
Yeah.
Or in service. So I surrender to the idea of what I created. I am excited about what I've created, not dissimilarly from Subhash. My ultimate goal is also to serve and to bring education to people who otherwise can't afford it. But I also believe that before I can do that, so before I can do charity, I have to make the money for the charity.
Correct.
So I am still looking at crowdfunding. I'm looking at commercializing a product as such, and within the story of the product, it will say a portion of the revenue will go to create educational opportunities.
Yeah. So discover then this, regardless what this is about, if it's either your business or your Game in the World or the TMLP program, it's the same conversation. If you discover it in one place, you'll be able to create it everywhere.
Thank you.
So that's my recommendation to you all and to people in like Team One, all the Team Ones. Really take on discovering how does it look to think at the level of team, to be team versus be identity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I do have a sense or a felt sense of what it feels like, because I had experienced this year, like for instance, being in the welcome team at every course or in the coaching team. There is the sense of team. There is the sense of working together, of being all connected.
At the same time, you want to still catch yourself how much you want to explain or defend something. Okay?
Okay.
Because I got that you got it. I got what you already did. And I got that you're taking on discovering newly. So you don't need to, to justify more of it. Yeah? because
Okay.
then it throws you back into the already. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, yes, I do.
Did you catch yourself doing that?
No, but I'm
Yeah.
glad you did catch me.
Yes, and the reason I said it and I didn't ask question is because of the time. Otherwise, I would have asked you a question for you to see it. I just noticed this is a inside of the already always paradigm. There's a default way of communication where you go to,
Mm-hmm.
and that one will be in the way of you surrendering to the team. Like if you really get what someone is saying and they get what you're saying, there's no need to add something else or explain more. They got it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Tell me, what did you get?
Well, what I got right now is exactly that I have the tendency to continue talking and to continue
Yes.
adding angles and perspectives and thinking and being
Yes.
also very, what is the word, sort of conceptual,
Yes.
and that less is more.
Yes. When you catch yourself doing that, and just stop it.
Okay. Yes,
Okay?
ma'am. Okay.
Great.
All right. So it's
And it's a
27.
practice.
Yes.
Yes, it's a practice. The moment you catch yourself, stop it, bring nothing, carry on.
Thank you.
And then you'll do it again, and then you'll catch yourself and you'll stop it. And at some point, you'll stop doing it.
Okay. Okay, so thank you. We are over time, but I really appreciate and I thank you for your generous participation, Yulia.
I thank you all. Also, before we complete, is there anybody who wants to say anything? What have you discovered in this conversation, or anything to complete?
Give up your identity.
Yeah, it's hard.
Great. So thank you all. And look, anytime you need anything, just let me know. I'm happy to keep having this conversation and empower you to create and fulfill extraordinary gains in the world.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Yulia.
Thank you.
Bye, bye,
Bye.
bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thanks, Julia.
So thank you, everybody, and good night.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Sebastian.
Bye.
Bye.